We haven't talked about how to market this. I was thinking the Piano by Pictures Piano Professor podcast.
Piano by Pictures Piano Professor pleasant podcast for people with piano playing proficiency deficiencies.
Piano by Pictures Piano Professor podcast.
But yes, we've got some lovely Academy members, and I sent a post and I said, we need questions, we need stuff to talk about, and they've got questions. I'm gonna try to pick a simple one. A lot of these are really deep. Here's a great one. Janet asks, do you have any techniques on how I can be relaxed when I'm playing my keyboard? Sometimes my shoulders are raised up and I don't notice it until my muscles start to hurt. My goal is to enjoy the process, and she says, thanks for taking the time to answer my question. That says a lot.
Okay, awesome. That is a great question.
I'm interested in this, yes.
Yeah, sure. So that's pretty common. Like, first of all, if you're experiencing tension, shoulder pain, all that stuff is really, really common. There is an exercise that I'm going to talk about and show you. But first of all, let me say that I don't think the goal in piano playing is like no tension. The goal in piano playing, the best pianists in the world have very fast tension and release. In other words, they're able to like exert themselves and then also able to relax quickly. Kind of makes me think of the way, a bodybuilder or a runner would focus on their recovery, right? But also like exert themselves. Or I know Josh Waitzkin is a world champion chess player and martial artist. He talks about like deep relaxation all the time. Kind of the ability to relax the mind and how that's an important part of exerting it. Anyway, so with piano playing, it happens actually like really, really quickly, on and off. And one exercise, one of the reasons I talk about this exercise all the time, but it's because I love it, and it actually solves this problem too, is you put your fingers in a 5-finger position, and then you raise your thumb. And this is when you raise your thumb like this. So I'm holding down all the notes of C, D, E, F, G. And then when I raise my thumb, I want to feel the tension through my arm, up through my shoulder. And I want to play it with a loud sound. And the instant I play it, I want to relax. Okay, so that's kind of the key, is you feel the tension, and then you want to feel your shoulder relax. So this student talking about how they don't even notice the tension that they're carrying in their shoulder. And you probably won't. I mean, the brain is so occupied when you're playing the piano. It is hard to kind of focus on these external things. And so what you want to do is you want to train your body. You want to basically practice relaxing. And this is one way to do it with this exercise. Go finger by finger. And I notice how I'm like shaking my shoulder a little bit. It's like, I want to kind of just like really feel it drop, like really feel it relax. Really, really feel the relaxation. I want to feel the tension, especially here with the 4th finger. It's hard to lift up. And I really want to feel the relax. And I'll make students do that. I'm like, I want to see your shoulder move. Tension, relax. Tension, relax. And I did like, 2 or 3 per finger, but I think that's important. So another way you can practice this is chords. Right after you play the chord, right after I play that, I want to feel both my shoulders relax. Also doing follow through and all kinds of things to create like the big sound. But you can practice doing it because it's with your whole body. It's tension, relax. Tension, relax. Tension, relax. That makes sense. Do you have any questions about like follow-up questions about that, Jacob?
I don't know. I thought that was pretty good and pretty clear. Yeah, I will say that something that I think I picked this up from you about just like how to get yourself into a good position on the piano, where you start with your arms kind of just like let them hang and then pull them up like this. So I've been periodically using that as a little reset while I'm practicing. Like I notice if I'm starting to get tense, I'll kind of break things down into smaller chunks, and then I'll be like, okay, focus on relaxing, get myself reset, and then attempt to play a little bit more loose. And then kind of, I notice I'm tense again, go to this neutral position and let the arms hang. Sure. And that helps me, especially if I'm filming videos all day and I have to play like 16 takes of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Simple stuff, but you know, it will wear you out.
You made me think of another exercise that I make people do. Like, I'll hold their arm like that, and I'll be like, I want to see your shoulder like completely relaxed, right? And you can do it to yourself. It's better if somebody else does it. But you know, like my left arm's holding up my right, and then see if you can drop into the piano without any resistance from your shoulder. And that's actually a way to create, I think, one of the loudest sounds in the piano. You don't really have to like exert yourself or have strong muscles or anything. You just have to let gravity do the work. It's more about not doing than it is about doing. Students, like our student, will carry that tension, not because they're not doing, they're doing too much. That makes sense. They're like exerting themselves here, and so. It's probably going to happen. Those are hard habits to break, but those exercises of doing single notes, playing chords, dropping your head into the piano are just kind of ways to train your body to have a different default response, which is ultimately what you want to do. You want to create a technique where you don't have to think about it, and your body will naturally relax in between all the things that you're playing, right? So like if I'm playing Chopin, I'm holding tension and then I relax my hold. And in between all of these chords, I'm relaxing. There we go. Still practicing. Like in between that, I have all these moments of opportunity to relax, and I have to take them. Because if I carry the tension through, and I'm not going to be able to get to the end of that piece.
And from doing the React videos, that's kind of something we've talked about too, where like sometimes I think people get confused and think that those motions are showmanship.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just ejecting all the tension from your body.
Yes.
Playing the piano plays you back. You know, it's Newton, man. It's just like you hit the key hits you.
Correct. Okay, what's the next question?
Oh, here's a great one. Arlene asks, how do I hold my arms, wrists, and fingers? My wrists hurt sometimes and my left hand pinky knuckle locks up when overextended.
So I would, first of all, find middle D on the piano, and I would set, this is actually one of the things, like first piano lesson, you know, which I've taught a lot of those. Setting yourself to where your belly button is in line with middle D. Your wrists should be parallel or like slightly, what angle would that be? Slightly lower than the piano. Like here's like above, here's like low, here's parallel, and it probably should be parallel so that your fingers are curved. So curved fingers, parallel to the wrists and forearm, parallel or slightly angled this way to the piano, because you're going to have like full range of, a bigger range of motion. You definitely don't want to stay there. And that's actually the other answer, the harder answer to her question, is to avoid the pain and avoid the things. It's not really just about starting in the place, but it's about what we were just talking about, how you move your body to alleviate the tension, like how you move through, how you take the energy from the piano playing you, because I love what you just said, like when you play the piano plays you. You have to let go of that tension. And we do that through the wrist, through like circular motions of the wrist. Like sometimes when I'm trying to teach people this, I'll just have them sit and like just make circles with their wrist on the keyboard. Like just get used to that and play a note and play another note, play another note. And if you watch like the great pianists play from, the massive concert stage, they're moving their wrists a ton. They're doing that a lot. And if you watch beginners, they're very rigid and there's like no motion often. So learning how to do that and learning how to move. And I'm oversimplifying it for sure, but it starts with movements of the wrist and circles and stuff like that. And you probably need to get a teacher that knows what they're doing to really get that.
So this is a stupid question maybe, but when you're making the circles with your wrist, which way are you making them? Seems easy to go sort of out and then in.
That would be counterclockwise.
With the right hand, because it'd be the opposite with
and
the
then
left.
clockwise with the left hand, right?
Okay, cool. I'll play around with that. Something to do with the next gig when I'm bored of playing, Respect by Aretha Franklin for the 100th time. All right, here's a good one. Mary, and she had a question in our last video, so I love that, this conversation just keeps going on. But Mary asks, how do you play 7th chords? My hands start to ache when I play them. And then so generally, I guess just like stretching, and so how do you increase the wingspan?
First of all, I'll say, and just because it's related, like kind of what you just asked, how do you increase the wingspan in the 7th? It's kind of two separate questions. So let's address the 7th one first. Often when people have like hard time reaching it, it's not necessarily the span of this finger to this finger, but often it's the span of these like in between the fingers, which I think in the 7th case, most everybody can reach a 7th. Like most everybody can reach, especially like a minor 7th. In most cases, most hands can do that. However, so let's take C7 as an example. If you're playing it with your left hand, you have to reach up and play that B flat. And the thumb is the one to do it, right? And so where students get stuck is, I'll play a little higher so we can see it, is if they play on the very edge of the keyboard with these fingers, like they get used to, and then their thumb has to reach up. Look what my whole body has to like twist to get my thumb up to that B flat. So often the really simple solution to show students is just to move their fingers closer to the fallboard. And that, now you can see I'm not twisting at all. I'm like able to play. That's probably the culprit in Mary is she's playing on the edges of the keys down here, as opposed to more toward the fallboard.
Well, first of all, is it possible to increase your wingspan?
Yeah.
And then if so, what's a good way to do that without hurting yourself?
Yeah, I think so. That's a good question. I mean, like, obviously there's only so much you can do. Like there's like just genetic. So there's a cartoon, because I got another good story about my teacher. There's a cartoon where Bugs Bunny, I think he's playing like Liszt, and he's playing down on the piano down here, and then his pinky goes just by itself and like plays that high note. And my teacher was like, he's like, do you remember this cartoon? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, that is what you must do. You must think your brain. And he was talking about like stretching. And the other thing he would do is like, when I'm like, oh, I can't reach that, he would sit down and he'd be like, Ryan, your hand is bigger than mine. Why can I do it so easily and you cannot do it? You're weak. So I think there like is like something, and he was right. Like when I did it, you gotta be careful, especially with like stretching, especially when it's something quick, you could injure yourself. But really the answer to that is, how do you increase? You just do it. You just practice doing it. You practice playing those things. Maybe at first you're like leaping to reach that, right? And then after a while, you're stretching your hand over and over. People generally underestimate how far they can stretch. So the answer to both questions is like, stretching is just doing it, and then for the 7th chords, it's often just an adjustment of playing closer to the fallboard.
Another thing that you can do is just cheat. And so something I'll do a lot is I'll play, and I'll put it on the screen, but I'll play like just the C and then just the B flat in my left hand and do that outer shell. And then my other 2 fingers are free to play the G and the E. So you can distribute the notes of chords between your hands as well too. And when I'm playing like big dense jazz chords, a lot of time my hands are just kind of close together and I'm playing a 6-note chord, but I'm just clever about which, how that's broken up against the 2 hands. With piano, it seems like things are either like hard here or they're hard here. Sometimes they're both, but you can take a lot of effort away from your fingers by just like doing an inversion or like thinking about something a little bit better and just or even just fingering, coming up with a different fingering that works for you better. A lot of times, I mean, songs I've been playing for years where I would struggle with something and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I can just do thirds in each hand and I can do this walk up with seventh chords and nobody knows.
So that's really interesting that you just said, because I was just with a student yesterday. He's playing the
Beethoven. Yeah,
Beethoven.
I gave up on that.
yeah. But what's interesting, there's a part where, and there's two different ways to finger it. And this is the question that you didn't ask or they didn't ask, but it's a question I want to answer. So anyway, in the Schenker edition of the Beethoven, there's like several different fingerings. People generally like those fingerings and say they're good. But I always, if I have to choose between it being hard on my fingers, like awkward, in other words, for example, in this piece, there's a moment where you can either cross under, there's like a figure, where you can cross under several times, like twice, or cross over once, and then there's like a little leap. And I always, if I have to choose between it being hard on my fingers and hard on my brain, I will abuse my fingers first. And I learned this lesson. There was this passage, I played this piece and I think I was like 27. I'd been studying piano for a while. And there was this crazy passage and I was doing all this intricate fingering and he's like, why don't you just do finger block, finger block, finger block, finger block? And I was like, well, then I have to just jump. He's like, yeah, it's easier. Like to give your brain a break. You're trying to figure out where to cross under and over and under all this time. Give your finger a break and go easy on your brain. And he did it and it was instantly easier. I played it better. So I loved that lesson because it was a huge aha moment really late in my piano playing career.
No, I get that too, because I was struggling with playing repeated notes, and I would do like this fingering, you know, all four fingers or three fingers or however, because Czerny in his beginner method does a ton of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I'll try to figure it out. And then I saw a video of Seymour Bernstein talking. He's like, just do one finger. Chill. You know, it's not that serious. You can do it. It's fine.
Love Seymour Bernstein. Yeah, you can. I mean, there's, you know, in that like particular instance, maybe you won't ever be able to do it as fast with one finger as you could the other way. And like, you know, I mean, like there is give and take in those situations, right? But yeah, I mean, it's like, I think one finger is often fine. I think sometimes with fingering, we make things too complicated on our brain to try and like find the perfect physical solution. And like you said, it's just better to find the easy solution for our brain, even if it's a little bit straining for our physical stuff, because our brain is generally the bottleneck of playing piano. The thing where, like, I love when people are like, oh man, after like a concert, your fingers are so fast, and you're like, hey, do this. Your fingers are fast too. You know, like. Everybody in the world can do that to a certain, and no one's like, wow, it's like you don't play piano with your fingers, you play piano with your brain. It's not fast finger, it's like practiced fast brain power, right?
Oh yeah, no, like knowing the song well, that's a big one for me, because like what slows me down sometimes is like, wait, what's happening next?
Oh, totally, yeah. And everybody, it's like, it's the brain farts. The brain is what, and so often, and it's because when we practice, our minds wander, yet our brains are capturing some benefit from the muscle memory, and we rely on that, and it's not reliable in a performance. It doesn't go well.
I noticed that really good piano players also too, and they're practicing build in things to keep them from like just zoning out. Like I think switching up the rhythms of whatever piece you're working, like
totally.
You know, saying like, I'm just going to do this whole section super quiet, or I'm going to try this really loud, and just always kind of bring something into it that keeps your mind going. Because there'll be times where I just space out. Cool. You want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Sweet. And I'll just say there were a bunch of questions about arpeggios, but I feel like that's more of kind of like an arranging thing. So for all the students that asked about arpeggios, I will make you a video breaking down how that works. Midge asks, and this is a great one, what are the 3 piano foot pedals for And when do you use them?
Great question. So, the first thing I would tell you is forget about the middle one. You never use it, almost never use it. I probably should use it more, but I think I've used it like 5 or 6 times in like different pieces for like certain things. I'll tell you what it does. It will, and tons of metal pedals, including mine, don't really work. Okay, there we go. So it will sustain a note that you are playing, but not sustain other notes on the piano. So it's almost like the use case for the middle pedal, and I probably shouldn't have started with the middle pedal, but anyway, we're already here, is if you want like to hold a bass, but I don't want all those notes that I played as a solo like above to sustain, right? Because if I use the right pedal, which is the sustain pedal, now I'm holding all this scale stuff, right? That I don't want. It's like now creating muddy. So the middle pedal will sustain some notes, but not. If I want my bottom to be wet, to be like, have a lot of sound, and my top to be super dry, then that's how I'd use that. So the right pedal is probably 90% of what you use the piano for, and it's just the sustain pedal. It's, we could talk about it forever. Beginner use case is it's a way to smooth out your playing, right? So we teach Amazing Grace a lot in our community. It's the first song a lot of people learn. That's with pedal. See how it's drier and it's not quite as connected, right? So the pedal is probably something that you should learn pretty quick in your piano playing, but that's the first case of it. But it's definitely not the only. Like we could talk about pedaling all day. We could talk about Stephen Huff, who's talks about how there's 8 different levels of the pedal and where you hold it down. Oh yeah, you can get it. So like, for instance, in Beethoven, I might throw it down maybe a quarter of the way there to give it a little bit of wetness, but not a Chopin level, right? So anything that's like that's like classical, that you kind of want a little bit of that smooth sound in the pedal, you do not push the pedal all the way down. That's not the question that was asked, but that's like a high level version of it, right? Generally, like with like good high school students, I'll introduce like a half pedal, like throw it down half pedal. And I think when Stephen Huff says that there's 8 different levels, he's probably talking about like really good pianos. This is a decent piano, but probably a better piano than this one, like $100,000 plus. Let's see, pedal. So yeah, the first thing I would use it for is connecting your sound, especially your chords. So how you should use it is, especially in our piano by pictures world with our chords in our left hand and our melody in our right hand, we just want to throw down the pedal on a chord, and in between chords, do a very quick lift up and push back down. Up, down. Up, down. Up, down. So I'm doing with my head what I'm doing with my feet down there. And that's the first thing I'd worry about. And then if you're a more advanced pianist, we can talk about half pedal and quarter pedal and what styles and when in the style. And the pedal is also like a sound amplifier. It generally just makes things louder because it makes the piano resonate. It brings out all the overtones in the piano. And yeah, so that is the pedal I would worry about. The left pedal is, a lot of people call it the soft pedal. Some people call it the una corda pedal. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but when I press the left pedal, the entire keyboard shifts if you're playing on a decent piano. Sometimes that won't happen super good. This pedal is also broken a lot of the time. But yeah, what it does is it shifts. If you look in your piano, you'll see that every time you hit a key, it hits 3 strings. So in this case, it's hitting 3 strings and they're all tuned to middle C. And when I press this, it shifts the keyboard to the right, and now I'm playing 2 strings. So I'm only playing 2 of the 3 strings. It's also making it so that the hammer is hitting the strings in a different place, and it generally doesn't have as many grooves as it does here. I'm probably losing a bunch of people, but that's okay. Probably doesn't have as many grooves, and so that means it has a little bit of a different sound. So you'll hear people in conservatories talk about how the left pedal is not a soft pedal necessarily, but a color change to try and get like a different type of sound from the piano. That is generally a softer sound, but not always. It can just be like a different sound, right? And you can see that. Here's C, and there's C, the same C. And you probably can't tell over the recording because of the microphone, but there is a slightly different tone, even playing the C the same way when you push the pedal down. Did you learn anything, Jacob, from that?
Yeah, the technique stuff, man, that's so huge for me. No, I love it, man. I will say, you know, for digital piano players, you just have this one, and it's either on or off, and it's just sustain, and you don't have to worry about the other ones if you're playing that.
It's just the right pedal. And really, honestly, you shouldn't worry about the other ones for a decade, honestly. I play gigs all the time and only have the right pedal, and it's fine. And I play on pianos and the right pedal only works, and it's fine. Or the left pedal. I miss the left pedal if it's not there, but I never miss the middle pedal if it doesn't work.
The left pedal for me, I use it the most when I'm playing like a janky upright, and it has that really hard tone to it. So if the left pedal works, I'll just hold that down the entire time because it sometimes helps with a tone of like a unwieldy old piano where the felts are rusted. And
for sure. I actually heard a piece of advice once that I thought was interesting. If you're playing on a big piano that you do not like know, you don't really like know and you're like performing, it's safe to like push the soft pedal down and dig into the keys. It like helps you figure out the piano faster. If you're a violinist, you carry your violin with you everywhere you go. If you're a pianist, you're playing on different instruments all the time, right? And they're going to have a different like sound. And so if you're like a touring pianist, or I played at different colleges for a while, went and did like lecture performances, didn't have, maybe I had 10 minutes with the piano. It's enough to like kind of get a feel, but like in certain situations, it's like, I'm not really sure what it's going to do, what's going to require. I remember I played a concert up in Idaho and the bass was super heavy. So as I was playing it, I had to listen and adjust. And I probably could have done that advice of throwing the soft pedal down and digging in.
I'm very much on the digital world. Every gig that I play, since I have to bring my own gear, I play on a springy keyboard. I don't even use weighted keys on gigs anymore. It's not worth it.
It's not worth carrying the extra weight.
No, dude, no. Especially if you're bringing 2 keyboards to a gig. I don't know how the culture is where in Vegas, but they hate musicians down here. So like I'll be playing at an arts festival or something and I'll be like, hey, can I park and unload my stuff? They'll be like, no, go down the street.
Gear is I think the worst part about being a gigging musician. Cool, man. All right. Well, this has been fun. Hopefully students in our community and some of you other guys that are watching our channel have enjoyed that. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more piano playing goodness and education, and we will keep coming to you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.